bringing the country back to its robust growth path. Let me end by adding this particular statements. We are on learning, education, and learning. Despite our inability to conduct face-to-face classes during this pandemic, we remain determined to deliver quality and accessible education to all. To work double time, not only to recoup job losses, but more importantly, to rehabilitate the economy and help our hardest hit sectors. Through COVID-19 assistance, to start enterprises or CARES program, we released 988 million pesos worth of loans to over 14,000 enterprises, Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2. Released 2.9 billion pesos worth of loans to over 12,000 enterprises, including our displaced OFW enterprises in the tourism sector, to help them start or sustain their business amid the pandemic. Along this line, I would like to renew my call to Congress to immediately pass the amendments of priority legislative measures such as the Foreign Investments Act, the Public Service Act, and the Retail and Trade Liberalization Act. Your applause went well ahead of its realization. You have to work on this, guys, and well, I'm sure that we can have a respite of this contagion in your own little way. Finally, I would like to reiterate my call for Congress again to pass legislation to establish a single agency that shall focus on and respond quickly to the needs and concerns of our OFWs. I pray that our next leaders and our future generations will not squander our natural resources and fight for integrity of our environment in a manner fiercer and more effective than my administration had ever done. The pandemic has taken so much from us as a nation, but like other adversities that tested us time and again, it can never take our courage and resilience and the spirit of Bayanihan 1, or rather Bayanihan, and the value of the malasakit are now indelible in us Filipinos. We shall use these gifts to forge ahead towards a better normal. As we come to a point where the risk of COVID-19 transmission can, to a certain extent, be managed, and I'm hopeful that we shall be united in forging ahead towards bringing the country back to its robust growth path. Let me end by adding this particular statements. We are on learning, education, and learning. Despite our inability to conduct face-to-face classes during this pandemic, we remain determined to deliver quality and accessible education to all. Creation of the basic educational learning plan. Community plan enabled uninterrupted learning to students in the basic sector while ensuring the teachers' health and safety and well-being. While the pandemic has demonstrated readiness, resourcefulness, and capability of government to serve the Filipino people through the use of ICT and digital services, it has also shown its inherent deficiencies and weaknesses. As such, that I ask Congress to pass an e-governance act that will set up transition of government processes to digital age. I'd like to add something on the protection of our overseas Filipinos. I also ask Congress to pass a law creating the Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos. Kailangan ito because they are suffering they suffered not only yesterday but they are still suffering now. So many inadequacies in both our government response and including the monetary assistance. To ensure that there is a department that is solely focused on addressing the needs and taking care of the welfare of our countrymen abroad. Before I end, let me also touch on the environmental protection. It has also been 13 years since the Supreme Court to Mandamos ordered the rehabilitation of Manila Bay. Unfortunately, no immediate substantial action to comply with the Supreme Court's order was undertaken until 2019, when this administration started its long overdue rehabilitation. As of May 2019, all illegally operating open dump sites surrounding Manila Bay has been shut down, while 151 out of 187 LGUs surrounding the bay have now access to sanitary landfill. Establishments have been forced to comply with environmental laws and ordinances, while those who did not have been closed. As a result, pollutants have been slightly reduced, coliform levels also reduced to its barest maximum, are now in its longest levels in years, if not decades. I urge the DENR to sustain the efforts to continue working with our LGUs to restore Manila Bay to its former glory. You know, just one little thing before we end. Yung pag-ano sa Manila Bay, where there is the corner where all of the garbage by current, by action of the current, nandito marami sa likod ng Luneta. Ginawa natin yan. At nilagay tayo itong yung puting basto na which is scattered into small pieces. Nawawala minsan yan because of the waves. So every now and then we still have to replenish because we cannot change the nature of our shores. That is how it is. It is not a permanent fixture there, doliform. It is there from the mountains, and we break it down and bring it to the sea. But that would occupy that place, irrespective of there is ay high tide or low tide. Nakakatulong yan. At nawawala yan. And the only way to do it is to replenish it until we can think of a good alternative of how we can process the whole thing back to its normalcy. If there was really normalcy at the time or at any other time in the past. On the resilience, again, dinagdag ko na lang ito. So time is good and at any other time again to ask you. In line with this, we hope to pursue the creation of public entities dedicated to managing emerging and re-emerging diseases. I thus fervently ask Congress to enact a law creating the Center for Disease Prevention and Control and the Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines. We must support them. Baski gaano natin kahirap, however poor we are, I think that the Filipinos, given the proper support and the things, the equipment that they have to use, we can, I am sure that the Filipino brain can also process or make vaccines in the future. Tapos na po yan, ma'am. I ask Congress to pass the Disaster Resilience Act that will create the Department of Disaster Resilience. Let us also, pagkatapos ito, ma'am, ikaw yung unang tao na mag-congratulate sa akin, ha? Kaya ako nagka-utal-utal dito dahil sa iyo. Let us also pass the law implementing the Fire Protection Modernization Program to bolster the readiness of our firefighters and ensure their ability to respond to fires and disasters. Related to this, importante ang trabaho ng bombero, maniwala kayo. They must also be there during a disaster happening. Let us also push for the mandatory establishment of education centers in every city, province, and municipality throughout the country, which shall provide the basic needs and assistance to all evacuees during times of emergency. Now, there is now the conclusion. Yes, ay, salamat. Pochang Duterte ito. The lights go out for this administration 11 months from now. The work that we started and expected to finish within constitutional time frame of 6 years has been told. Much was so far, but we need not despair. Desperation is a feeling alien to the resilient Filipino. A peaceful and prosperous Philippines is no longer a distant dream, but one that is within our grasp. If our future Filipinos would also do it, if they would continue and would seize the opportunity to work together. Malaki ang papasalamat ng mga kababayan natin, lalo na silang sinasabi na mas panatag ang loob nila ngayon. Hindi na nababahala ang mga magulang na lumalabas ang mga anak nila naglalakad sa gabi.